The Butler Philharmonic has a full professional sound and is fulfilling its goal to enrich the cultural life of its audiences. While the group lacks a permanent home, the orchestra brings classical music to all corners of the growing Southwest Ohio population it serves.
Community orchestras have a long history, and the Butler Philharmonic is no exception. It began in the 1950s as a string quartet in the city of Hamilton in Butler County, north of Cincinnati. As the group grew, adding brass and woodwinds, it became the Hamilton-Fairfield Symphony, named for two adjoining cities. And recently the name changed again to the Butler Philharmonic. Under music director John Paul Stanberry, there has been a real growth spurt, both in musicians, audiences, and performances. He says people were ready for a change.
There was a community that was kind of like low-hanging fruit. A lot of things hadn't been tried yet, and we're just hungry for some quality music making. And so that, I was hired in 1994 and did our first concert in 95 together. And pretty soon we added what we called a Picnic and Pops concert. So we had 2 concerts a year. Then the following year, our Mozart Festival, 3 concerts. And now we're up to doing 12 or 15 concerts a year.
The Philharmonic is no longer linked to a building, instead traveling to different venues throughout the sprawling county, which is among Ohio's fastest growing counties.
If we're at some place like a church, that tends to be a little more formal, something like that, but in the summer we'll have summer park series and that kind of thing, and that lends itself to more pop repertoire. So we get to really give people kind of a different experience when we travel.
Once comprised of just volunteers, all members are now professionals.
And the orchestra has really grown over the years. Musicianship is very high in the orchestra, get really good players, so it's a really great place to play. And it's a great community, great core of musicians that I've known for a long time that play here, so it's been a lot of fun.
The performance we observed was at St. Maximilian's, a large Catholic church. The large space easily accommodated the huge orchestra and a full chorus for the performance of a sea symphony. There were also 2 vocal soloists, Jessica Rivera and Thomas Dries. The symphony was written in the early 1900s by John Vaughan Williams, who adapted the words from Civil War-era poet Walt Whitman.
It's called the Sea Symphony, and you think you're singing about the sea. It's 4 different poems. First one is a song for all seas, all ships, and it just takes you out on the ocean. Oh, isn't that nice? You're kind of taking in the wave. The second movement is called On the Beach at Night Alone. And suddenly you're taken very introspectively, and you're thinking about, why are we singing about on the beach? The aloneness of the human character is what we're singing about there. And baritone soloist by himself with the chorus and orchestra. And you suddenly realize, oh, this is about the self and the journey of the human soul through life. But the third movement takes us back out on the ocean again. It's called The Waves, and it is all the buffeting back and forth, all the tough, nasty things that can happen to you in life happens to you in that movement. One of the overwhelming moments is in the piece comes right in the middle of that fourth movement where the chorus sings the word finally. Finally we get to the other side. After all these things that life has thrown us, we finally arrive if we've had that trust.
During intermission, the Philharmonic recognized Lucy Goodell Herndon, who is celebrating 60 years with the orchestra. She started in the 1950s, when the group was still an all-volunteer orchestra. Her daughters Lynn and Linda are also orchestra members. With her grandsons, they were all recently honored as the Musical Family of the Year by the Ohio Federation of Music Clubs.
It means a lot to us to be able to be here with her and play in the symphony with her and share that, know that she's had 60 years.
Lucy also considers members of the Butler Philharmonic as family.
Music is just my life. I was an elementary school teacher, and so this was my hobby. We have a lot of great musicians that are playing, and we played together for a long time, and we really enjoy it. It's kind of like a family.
These days, both the performers and audiences come from a far wider area than in the orchestra's early days. And Stanberry sees the group's mobility as an asset for the Philharmonic.
It's been a feather in our cap to be not tied to one place. Normally you have to go somewhere, like you go to the Schuster Center in Dayton, or you go to Music Hall in Cincinnati, hear the orchestra. Ours is the opposite approach. We're going to come and play in your backyard.
Those who have enjoyed the performances of the Butler Philharmonic can readily attest to its excellent musicianship. The musicians also undoubtedly have a keen ability to please audiences.